Warning, everything in this video and on this channel is for educational purposes only. All content is intended for viewers 21 years of age or older. All acts are performed by professionals, and all people shown are 21 years of age or older. All acts are performed under the legal Chapter 67(8)(d) here in Nevada. Please do not attempt to recreate or reenact anything you see on this channel.
Pigeons 420. Mr. Grow It. From the Stash Podcast.
Step into the light of the future with AC Infinity's Ion Frame LED Grow Light. Powered by industry-leading Samsung LM301H EVO diodes, it delivers unparalleled brightness and efficiency. Designed for serious growers, it offers a full spectrum of coverage, precise scheduled controls, as well as innovative sunrise and sunset dimming for a natural light cycle. Its modular, easy-to-manage system ensures optimal heat dissipation and seamless integration with all the smart grow setups that AC Infinity already offers. Experience growth without limits and results that speak for themselves. AC Infinity's Ion Frame EVO Series lights illuminate your path to exceptional yields and dank quality. Learn more at acinfinity.com and use discount code THESTASH15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
Are you a grower? Are you tired of lugging around too many bottles? Is it too expensive? Is it so confusing? Tired of reading feed charts? Well, guess what? There is an easier way. Introducing the Stash Blend. You can now get your bag of Stash Blend premium additives that you can add to your garden using just about any base nutrients. Go to stashblend.com and get your order today.
Pretty good claps. Good
Boys,
stuff. Fellas,
good
you're
to see
in
you.
Canada.
We're here.
The Canada series is here, far north, boys.
I heard some knuckles crack right
You
there.
heard that? That was a combination.
Yeah.
Those are dad knuckles.
That was a strong one.
Strong
Do
hand.
you go to the chiropractor?
I haven't in quite a long time, but I have.
Used to? You go to the chiropractor?
No.
Oh, I love the chiropractor.
Really?
Yeah. I got into a car accident in 2013, and my main source of therapy, or physio, if you will, was chiropractics. And yeah, my chiropractor put my back right back into line, and it feels good. It feels good. I've spent time watching people do. You ever heard of the ring dinger?
Johnny with Johnny Knoxville.
Close. It's a ringer.
The ringer.
So the
ringer.
Guy's laying down. You put some kind of clamps in to hold you onto the bed, and then puts a towel around your neck, and then gets you to take a deep breath, and then yanks the towel, and it separates your spine. All of your vertebrae just pop out, and the sounds that people make having their body bounce off of there it's crazy, dude. I think I want to try it, but I don't know if it's like a real thing or if it's just the internet
Oh, God.
pretending.
That doesn't sound good. Separate your spine.
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing is I'm so ignorant with that kind of stuff. I went initially, funny we're even talking about the chiropractor saying I probably should go again, but I went initially for my knee because I didn't know what was wrong with it. And then it's like Major Pain. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Damon Wayans. Basically, he fixed something else that made me forget that this was messed up. Like my shoulder was an issue. I was like, oh, whoa, I didn't even know I had a bad shoulder. He's like, yep. It's like he may have made it a bad shoulder. I don't know. But
Very well possible.
dude,
Very
it
well
was
possible.
the dreams that I had following that were wild. I looked it up, and I guess it's normal with messing with your spine, like because we have those kind of fluids in that.
I believe it. Yeah, I
spinal
believe
fluid,
it. It's the same thing tapping into like the nerves in your feet. Can have if you can get
Like
your
pressure
feet
points
massage,
and
can take care of like the blood flow in your head, and
See, that's
your
Eastern
balance.
alternative, like ancient methods of healing that oftentimes now get looked at as hippy jippy craziness, and that to me is fascinating stuff. But I always forget the other benefits because I'm like, my back's all right. It's like, oh wait, it's more than just the back. But oftentimes that's the way that things go. Is there's alternative options that
you can use your counter alternatively as a back kind of separator. You just kind of put your elbows on the counter, kind of let your feet hang and let your body just like dangle.
I'm a little
from
too
your
tall
elbows.
to let my feet hang, bud.
You can bend your legs, bud.
Oh, I was gonna
and I know that you probably have your toes up around here, but
It's a gift and a curse. There's so many cool things. Like
lots of alternatives.
my chiropractor was talking about my kitchen or my living room table. I could do stuff like that, and he was like, "Well, Unfortunately, you're a little too tall to do that. I'm like, damn it. So a couple times, it's either you have to reach or clean things on the top of, which we still have
He's
to
a
clean.
sizist.
It's a sizest thing. It's all of a sudden now it's not advantageous to be tall because our backs will be messed up more. We have to reach things or clean the top of fridges. And oftentimes we can't utilize things in our house because our backs are too long and elongated, and our legs are big, dumb, gangly alien legs hang over. Oh, yeah.
That's the excuse you can use with the wife.
Yep,
I
like
can't clean the
do it.
fridge. Get tall, gangly alien legs. They're not working for me today.
Dumb alien legs. But it's like you got to find those alternative things, and you don't always need to go to a chiropractor. You don't always need to go to a professional or always buy items. Same in the garden. Same
Yes.
exactly in the garden. And I think that's where you look at it in the sense of what ways can you have alternative methods that may work just as good or may not work just as good but work sufficient enough. You know what I'm saying? I think we should talk about that today in this episode.
Sounds good.
Totally agree.
I like it.
Yeah, I want to be totally transparent. This guy over here was talking about
Pointing to Rob.
Rob.
Pointing to Rob.
Rob, with so many names went through my head there at the same time.
This son of a Mitch.
He was talking about how he was using his knuckle to check the moisture.
That was
in
me.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, and we were kind of earlier explaining in the weeks past how moisture meters have such a benefit, and we were just talking about how
I keep a moisture meter on me though.
yeah, that's right,
Another-
tucked away
another.
right here. Check this out.
Oh, time.
So I thought right there on the spot, wait a second, there must be a way, or we could probably do an entire video on ways that we can find alternative methods instead of using some of these tools that are presented to us in the market. So
think it's
that's where I got
perfect.
that's where the idea came from.
Moisture meter? Should we jump right into it?
Yeah.
The accuracy
Knuckle deep.
of your finger? I mean, the
Very
wind currently is
convenient,
blowing north in here.
Accurate. Yeah.
North. And it's the same. I can tell you the exact percentage by putting my pinky into your soil. For moisture.
Interesting. Consider he's got fans right behind him blowing south.
I do. But I don't. In Canada, south is different. Okay?
Different side of the hemisphere.
But honestly, I'm goofing in that sense. But that's the downside of just using this alternative in the finger method versus the moisture meter method is I can't give you the exact precise amount, but I can tell you that it's moist enough that I've already watered and I don't need to water again today. That's the only issue. I can't crop steer like I could with a moisture meter to let me know exactly how much is there.
It's a great example. Yeah, you don't need a moisture meter. It's beneficial and can definitely help things out, make things a little bit easier for you by giving you that accuracy. But this episode's about, you don't actually need some of these gardening products. And I think a moisture meter is a perfect one. Use your hands, stick it down in there. Do the old technique to where is it bone dry that far down? How's the weight of the grow pot? You know what I mean? Does it feel light? You can just do it that way. You don't need to invest in a moisture meter. It's a great example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And the thing is it's not that we don't think you should have a moisture meter, because the reality is it might just make your life a little easier to have one, and it'll keep your hands clean. But we're thinking of people who might be in a scenario that they don't have access to these items. Maybe they're on a budget. Maybe they just simply can't get these items at their location because the world's changing, products are changing, science is evolving. Is it? And we can ask ourselves, do we really need this, or are we just paying too much? One of the things I kind of wanted to discuss off the top of my head was it's getting a little bit easier now to determine your light intensity. Back in the day, we used to have the rule of thumb when we were using HPS or metal halide that put your hand over your canopy, and if your hand is comfortable, your plant is comfortable. And that was generally in response to the heat. So it's not too hot in there, or the height is correct if your hand's not too intense. Now, you guys were sharing earlier that if you have an LED and you can't afford a par meter, there's apps for this.
Yeah, there's a photon app that actually will work to give you a ballpark of the PPFD that you're using. The suggestion is that you want to like wrap up or roll up a piece of paper or get some sort of rounded thing to make it so you have kind of like a, not a fisheye lens, but a more magnified lens to that, so that way there's not side light. It's more focused on what's coming down there.
Like a direct path.
Direct path, exactly the words. But that works. It's sufficient enough. It's going to give you the ballpark estimate. It may not be exactly perfect, but you're going to be able to find your range of noticing, well, my plant looks nice and happy here. Let me increase a little bit. Let me measure to make sure my increase isn't too high and detrimental to the plant growth, or too low and also detrimental to plant growth.
you don't need a par meter. You can't. You don't
That
need to
too.
go out and
Don't
spend.
even need the app even potentially.
You don't even need to spend the. What is it? $299 for the spot on meter, or maybe it's $399 for the spot on meter. $500 for the pulse par meter that comes with the other thing.
An Apogee.
Apogee meter, $500 plus. You don't need to spend that money if you're looking to kind of dial in light or make sure your plants aren't too hot really at the canopy, like Pigeon said with the hand test. But you can just use a phone app and save money there. Save a ton of money.
Phone app
Ton
works
of money.
decent,
Hundreds of
man.
dollars.
Yeah.
Hundreds. Well, you could be spending on something else like genetics.
Or Stash Blend. And I think that's
We got to throw that in there.
just
Every
gotta, it's our
episode.
brand. We're so passionate about it,
Yeah.
man. I'm sorry if we come up pushy with it, but I love it, and I feel like you need to love it too because it's amazing.
Stand by it.
Stand by it heavily. But that's the thing is some things are vanity type items, and some things are they simplify the garden. Those are two different things. I feel like one thing that I wouldn't say is vanity, but it's kind of like you're keeping up with the cool kids is fabric pots or cloth pots. And you don't necessarily always need to use a pot that is pre-made to be a plant pot. You can reuse random items. You can use buckets. I've seen people for years use 5-gallon Home Cheapo buckets, drilling holes right into them, even as they're orange buckets, not worrying about light penetration because for the most part, they're going to be good. Or black Lowe's buckets, which is black or blue Lowe's buckets.
Tubs of peanut butter, tubs of ice cream. I've seen people use
Ice cream.
those.
The
They
bottoms
repurpose
are 2
those.
liters and holes in it. Yep, I've seen people for their clones do a bunch of like Coca-Cola bottles, cut the tops, holes in it. You don't need plant pots. Does it look a little ghetto? Absolutely. What? Is
You
it
get
going to work?
You get points for ghetto-ness for sure.
And reusing resources, being thrifty. You don't have to be a broke grower to be a thrifty grower or to be somebody who cares about the earth. And in that sense, recycle has been proven to be a little, maybe not proven, but has been said to be a little. So recycle at home, clean it, use it, reuse it. I mean, I've been using cheap little 1-gallon pots from this flower store for like a decade, and I still continue to use them. And then I go to the store and I'll buy other pots just to use those reused pots. Just like when you get the lunch meat in the plastic containers, and then you have that plastic Tupperware container, you're like, I'll use it for some random shit I don't care to destroy. Like if it's a bad thing and I might have to throw it away, I guess this is the tub I'll use. But it makes it so you can reuse these items and you don't have to keep up with the Joneses with the coolest, best pots. Is it more advantageous to get something that can air prune your roots? Absolutely. But can you get away with using, homemade pots, essentially? Absolutely. No question.
Yeah, so we actually have a short list here. We talked about it real quick. So
I got
bust towards the list. You got something off the top of your mind?
Yeah, the aloe. I remember we were discussing
Aloe.
aloe.
Yeah.
Aloe.
For
Oh, yeah,
cloning.
yeah.
So instead of using a cloning gel,
Instead of using a
Cloning
rooting
gel.
hormone of any sorts, I prefer myself a powdered hoarding
Powdered hoarding.
rooting hormone. Wow, I blended both
Hoarding
of those
hormones?
words together. Basically because of shelf life, and you can kind of eliminate that if you're running aloe as a companion plant. We've talked about that in weeks prior.
to water that in even too, the natural rooting hormone.
Yeah.
I think the other side, though, the advantageous side of using a clone gel or, especially the VPS one is great. I love that I can use the tip that just goes perfect. Don't waste anything. But you can do the same thing with aloe in a sense of dipping it, chunking it, and making it work. It doesn't stick on quite as good as some of the other gels I've noticed, but it works. Oftentimes people, if they're using an aeroponic cloner, they'll put that in the aeroponic cloner with it.
Makes sense.
It's a good one. I got one. I'm thinking about post-harvest, right? Comes a drying process. And a lot of people will go out and they'll buy drying racks, right? So another thing, it can be valuable, sure. It could definitely be useful, but you don't need to buy one, right? A lot of people just hang dry. They use a coat hanger and then hang it from a coat hanger in their grow tent versus breaking up individual branches or buds off the branches and putting onto a drying rack. So if you got to throw that one out there as drying rack, it's one you really don't need. You can definitely get away with not going out and buying one of those.
Dude, I found a big hanging clothing rack for, I think, just drying clothes. It was at Goodwill, and I grabbed that thing, and I used that for years. And I also would just take, regular wiring, and I'd hang it up through the room with tacks on one side or the other, and I'd just hang individual buds and colas on there like that. I mean, I've done whole plant, of course, is another option. Utilizing your own grow tent. Even using a trellis net. If you're growing with a trellis net, instead of cutting it in individual pieces, take the ends out, fold it up, and you can hang it right back from the ceiling, or just flip it, put it on the posts again too if it's a hooked up style one. You don't have to get a drying rack. A lot of people nowadays aren't doing a drying rack unless they've got so much bud that they can't hang dry plants, which I don't see why you couldn't hang dry plants if you're able to have a drying rack, because that still takes up just as much space essentially.
But then you got to store that drying rack.
Yeah. Well, some of them are like they fold up and they collapse and stuff, but it's still the cleanup of it is just as much, in my opinion, as the cleanup of just hang drying. What's going to fall underneath it? Usually put, for me, some newspapers, or I'll put blue little kiddie pools, like the mini ones. Those are the move when it comes to using just like a transplanting, soil mixing, or just collecting for trimming. Like I'll have it sitting underneath me as I'm trimming. But when I've got a hanging plant, I'll oftentimes put one underneath there to collect any trichomes and random that'll fall so it doesn't get on my floor. Because that sticky mess sucks to clean up. But drying rack, that's one that is a totally subjective. What do you prefer? But you don't need it by any means.
Yeah. You guys familiar with the little plastic pieces that hold like Coke cans together? Hold 6 Cokes in
the ones
plastic.
that
plastic
animals in the street.
You got to cut them up with scissors, or else animals going to get caught in it.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you could take a bunch of twist ties and you could stick a bunch of them together and you could make a trellis net, a strong net. I just thought of that right
so
now.
ghetto, but it would work.
DIY.
Just use a lighter to get them all going. Like, no, we got our trellis net going, brother.
Don't need to buy one. You can just do that.
Why would you spend $1.50 when you can just spend $79 on
I'm saving
labor?
a bunch of turtles and I'm drying my bud every single day. That's the thing is there is a lot of alternative DIY things that we've gone over in the past in some great episodes about DIY alternatives. Those are the prime example of alternative things too. Not necessarily where you don't need to get it, but that you can find something that you make that works pretty damn well, almost as good in a lot of cases.
Yeah. One of the ones that I had off the top of my head was the I just lost it. You got another one?
What's your list?
I know we read a couple.
I had one. I lost it right before you lost yours. I was like, oh no.
We filmed a few episodes today, and that kind of happened.
I had this one in regards to something.
Mine was going to be, and I didn't put it on the list, but it was a pH meter.
That's what mine was.
If
you're an organic grower,
If you're an organic grower, you don't even need. People don't even know what those are, man. Organic growers are like pH meter for a pool. I'm like, no, for the plants. If they never got hip, they're not looking to grow synthetics. They never have. If they were mentored by somebody who just grows organic, it was never in the conversation, ever. They're going to hear about that on one of our videos. But then also, if let's say you do synthetic and you need something for pH, you can just go get a pool strip, like the pool pH meters, and that's super cheap. It's just a throwaway test, and you're going to have to keep buying them, but it's a lot less money than getting a pH meter. Now, if I was going to get a pH meter, I'd get one that has a ppm meter also, because if you're using your pH, if you're paying attention to pH, likely going to pay attention to ppm. AC Infinity has a great one, of course. Discount code is STASH15. But synthetic, primarily. Synthetic. Organic, either way. It's not even being thrifty. You really don't need it. Maybe if your water is crazy high pH like mine, but honestly, at that point, still letting it sit out for a while, it usually should still be fine after the chloramine, and chlorine kind of dissipates a little bit. More chlorine. Chloramine's going to chill. But, yeah, that's definitely one for me, pH meter.
Yeah. Did you think yours? Oh, yeah. I remembered mine now. We discussed humidity. I don't believe that you necessarily need a humidifier either. When you think about, I remember it was NV Closet Med Grower. I've given this guy a shout out many times because of this.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, and you've
I know him personally. Yeah.
And I'm
NV
jealous of that.
for new version.
New Vera.
Nevada. I assume,
Nevada.
I'm from Michigan, so I say Nevada.
It's properly Nevada. It's not Nevada. And actually, the locals here are stingy about that. Like, it's Nevada. They'll correct you, and they get very upset when you say Nevada.
Nevada.
I love it.
So it's Nevada.
I love that the local Canadians get mad about that.
He did a video. The locals here can't stand that.
They hate that shit.
The thing that I think is that, with a little DIY, and I know this kind of fits into our DIY episode, but the reality is between a DIY cooler setup where you take his method, or whoever's method was, I learned it from him. You take a cooler, fill it with ice, put a fan on one side, pump some air through it, duct that cooler into your tent. You're laughing. You're going to decrease the air. You're going to decrease the temperature, and add a little bit of humidity in there. And you can just drape a few towels or wet cloths in your tent. I used to think that the downside to that was you were changing out those cloths too often. But then I realized with most humidifiers, you're changing out that water pretty often. So you're not saving time with a humidifier, and you could probably get away with using some damp towels and this cooler method to not only decrease the temperature, but add an additional moisture to the room.
As someone who lives in an area where it's very, very low humidity, I've practiced those methods in the past before the
That's awesome.
humidifier. And back when I was broke, couldn't afford a humidifier, you know what I mean? And it works temporarily, you know what I mean? So it's not, a humidifier is going to be better, right? The DIY version that you mentioned is going to be great. That's going to save money versus going out and buying one. So, that's a good one. I like that one.
This is the finger of the water method, so to speak. This is like using your knuckle. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't necessarily guarantee it's 100% accurate, but you are definitely better than nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say that 5 more times. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I know what he's saying.
Nah, I mean.
Nah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean.
A little J-Rock out here. But that's a prime example of, do you need to be 100% accurate? Are you crop steering? Are you that kind of anal person who wants to make sure everything is 100% what it's supposed to be? Or do you just need to increase your humidity a little bit and drop your temperature a little bit? That's where the DIY or the side method is going to be better. Of course, 100% accuracy would be with something that provides the exact measurements you're looking for. You know, humidifier, dehumidifier, air conditioner, heater. A quality version is the best, clearly. But you don't need it if you can find alternatives. You know, it's just like people who grew up, you have in their oven heat most of their house. Unfortunately, it's a way to do it. Alternative method. That's one we could throw into the mix here. but it's the same type of thing. We're like, yeah, it's not as good, but it works, and you'll get by.
I got one that relates to lighting. So listen to this one. How about this? Might have some debates on this one. This one might be more valuable for the beginner grower. But you don't need a grow light where you look at the product listing and you see the par chart and it's 2,000.
He doesn't mean that AC Infinity.
The 2,000 ppfd is what I'm trying to say. Like if you see,
man, some of these crazy ones.
2,000 ppfd, and then if there's a light that is similar in a sense as far as light spread, and there's 1,500 ppfd, the one that's 2,000 ppfd isn't necessarily better. You know what I mean? Because
you're never going to get that high. You're never going to use that much.
Look into DLI. The plant can only take a certain amount of light per day. If you're blasting with 2,000 ppfd throughout the entire light cycle, you're giving you're a little bit too high on the DLI side of things. I know adding CO2 in there will help allow that plant to absorb the light, but for the most part, I mean, 2,000 that's
extreme.
Very,
I feel like we're worried about our
high.
terpenes at that point.
1,500. A lot of people are running 1,000 to 1,200. That's with CO2. Some people are buying lights that have that capability, but a lot of people are dimming them down, and they're even having them dimmed in flowering as well. Whether it be as low as 50%, 60%, 70%, and they're still achieving 1,000 ppfd during flowering with that dim percent. So, yeah, if you get a grow light, if you're looking at grow lights, shopping for grow lights, and you're just kind of looking for the highest amount of power that you can possibly get, if you're going above, 1,500, 2,000, you can definitely find a grow light that is a little bit less than that, could be cheaper than that, and give just as good results when it comes to plant growth.
Let me give my President Camacho rebuttal. What I think is, Pete, how fast can the Stang go?
Mustang? Electric Mustang?
How fast can it go? Like, it can go 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds.
That's cute. How's the top speed, brother?
Well, it's a Ford in Canada, and a Ford in Canada governs at 180 kilometers an hour.
Oh. All right.
Yep.
Bad example.
Right.
So
Freedom.
let's say you buy a freaking new Corvette in America where we're free. You know you really are never going to go the top speed, right? Ever. But it does feel cool to have the most badass, hard-hitting beast of a vehicle in the game. And there's something about having a light, dude. Like, I'm not even sponsored by them, but Chill Tech, those X6s, when I had those, I bought my first one, and then I got the second one for free. I felt like a badass when I was like, 1,000-watt LED light, baby, in this thing. Like, I literally thought I had the next level of technology, the Lamborghini the best of the best. And now I'm a little bit more humble and I see lights are not as, I don't need all that. But I understand the logic where somebody would get that kind of light because they're like, dude, I want to, what if I expand? Well, what if I need to put it up to, it's like, well, we know you're not going to, Gerald. You live in a small area and you own your house and it's paid off and you're on fixed income, so settle down. But I don't know. There's something about having the most tough, bad stuff, like the heaviest version of it. And I think that's a lot of people's arguments. Either it's the company marketing it that you need this, or it's the individual who is that type of person.
I thought you were going to say the ChillTech Ultra.
Oh, yeah.
The Ultra
X3.
versus the... Oh, is that what you meant? Because you said the X6.
Yeah, but I bought the X6, but I did feel like I was then.
The Ultra...
The X3 Ultra.
X3 was marketed towards being the most efficient...
Yep, the best PPFD for the wattage, so the most efficient like ever. But it was a $3,000 light.
$3,000. I think that's the one of the most expensive lights I've heard
Couldn't
of.
promote it. Saved my life because I couldn't ethically say yes. But wow.
A light that you just hang up on your wall as like decoration.
Don't even use it.
That is the most expensive light. That's history right there.
Skateboard
the most efficient.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it isn't necessarily that it's going to be the best or it's better. It's just the fact that some people may want that. If you're a thrifty grower, that's an absolute farce. If you're somebody on a budget, don't push yourself to get something that's that heavy and powerful. Because you could get something less than that and maybe work your way up to that. But that's just for the higher echelon of spenders. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody will buy that because of the efficacy, which is beautiful. But you can get something for your pocket efficacy that will give you very, very similar results, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can compare that with, like, nutrients. You don't need an array of nutrients, and that goes for both synthetic and organic when you're using Stash Blend. Because
or the hottest nutrients too. You don't need the biggest name.
Don't need the biggest names.
Unless
you
it's
can get the smallest name in a tight package. It's Stash Blend. And the reason I say that is because this has so much stuff in it. It's got your mycorrhizae, it's got your silica, it's got your humic acid, it's got your beneficial bacteria. It's got everything in it that's typically separated up into different bottles, different bags, different lines. And it's like, oh, I need all of these to grow great stuff. No, you don't. Nope.
Great
nope.
stuff.
$12 bag, 8 ounce, 4 ounce, whichever one, or 8 ounce. We don't do 4s anymore. 8 ounce is going to get you satisfied for quite a few cycles, and it's going to save you hundreds.
Or go buy a bottle of silica, go get yourself some microbes with some bennies in it, get some humic acid, get yourself some seaweed extract, get yourself some additional
at $14.99 per bottle or per bag.
Yeah, and then get
if you were
that
to
and
do
mix
it
in.
individually.
But that's the same argument I'd say for somebody who may go and get a big line of nutrients that are synthetic. It's the same thing where you can maybe find organic alternatives that are going to be a lot more affordable, this being one of them, but others as well. I really think that was something I overlooked where I'm like, yeah, if I break it down per gram, it's cheaper for all these components, but I got to buy a big container of it. Like my parboiled rice hulls I've had for 8 years, 6 years. I bought them before I started doing organic growing. I've had them for so long, but I had to get like a tub, like a big old thing of them. It wasn't just a small amount for my one plant I was trying to grow. I had to buy a ton of them to be able to mix my own soil or buy a pre-made thing that cost me more money. You know, when I break it down, I'm like, I can get this for 45 or I can get this for 80, but for 80, I'll have this forever. I'll never buy another one. So it's the give and take. Either maybe you have to do some more work or you have to spend some more money. I have to do more work and I spent more money, but long term, I spent less money, you know?
Got another one.
Okay, I got one.
I got another one that I'm still going to get some hate on this. Some people call the hypocrite on this one. Or somebody's going to be like, what the heck? Why are you saying this one, Chris? Which is, you don't need a Canatrol.
I was waiting for that.
You waiting for it?
I was waiting for that.
I love
Canatrol.
Now, I love Canatrol. I really do. I did a whole...
So much free publicity from this guy over here. If you don't...
I did a whole review on it,
and
you know what I mean, to
it.
break down the pros and cons and all that stuff. And I do use it. I just got another one. But you don't need it. You don't. It's a very expensive product.
You don't need it, and you'll hate it.
It's
here's why you should get it.
It's $1,600 per unit. Very, very expensive in my opinion. That's, I think, everybody's biggest gripe. And you don't need that to successfully dry the plant. This is mostly a drying machine. A lot of people consider it, oh, it's a curing. I can just, do it and store it in jars and stuff like that. I don't need it for curing. It's mostly a drying machine. That's where you get the most benefit because it is so hands off. But again, you don't need to spend that amount of money to dry your plants. You can just do it. You can dry your plants in a grow tent instead and still be able to get to that shelf stable 0.6. That's the goal on the drying. 0.6 water activity is the goal when it comes to drying, bringing it down to that shelf stable amount. So don't spend $1,600 unless you're someone like me who's a hobbyist.
Or a baller.
And that's one of the main reasons why I got it. I wanted to use it. So much hype about it. It's a new product. A lot of people don't have it. I know you guys don't have it. So I wanted to get one to try it out because I'm interested in technology. And I want to create content around it too. You know what I mean? Spread some awareness about it. There was no reviews on the internet at the time. And when you're making a large decision like that on spending a larger item, you're going to do research and you're going to look out for YouTube videos, articles, reviews, so on and so forth. And there was nothing really up there. So I kind of felt like, hey, I should probably release something and let people know the pros and cons about it from a user perspective. And then hopefully that helps people. So, and
you've made them so much money. It's insane. But I will say, if you live in an area like you do, if you're a young father, new to the game, busy as hell, business owner, content creator, again, dry climate. Do you need it? No. Will it help you a lot? Yeah. And I see that. I could totally tell the difference of the flower. Absolutely, totally can tell. One seemed like, did you just harvest this? You're like, no, actually, no. I harvested this one a while ago. It's been in the can troll. And I was like, oh, wow. Damn it. I'm almost unhappy that it's so good. And I'm like, I can't argue now. It's just like we were having for the episode about which is the best way to grow. You'll agree. Similar thing. It's like, man, I can't argue that. The only thing I can complain about is the price point. It's the only thing I can complain about. And I feel that's new technology. It's almost wrapping that into you don't always need the newest, coolest technology. You can find an alternative with putting more labor in because it's going to take a lot more work to dial it in like you want to like that.
Yep. Save yourself $3. And instead of using a jeweler's loop, use your phone.
That's a good one.
That is a really good one. Yeah, I never even thought about that. Man, that's crazy.
We're always looking for some way to look at our plants, and that it's right here. It's right here. You might not see it right away, but get a picture at the crop or the biggest zoom or the most zoom, highest zoom that you can, and then zoom in on that. Yep. And that gets you a really good look at what's going on in your trichomes, so you can get a real quality harvest.
He was playing to his smartphone for those folks that are just listening.
Thank you.
Smartphone.
He's got a lot of these cameras for those who.
I try. No, we don't do that great of a job sometimes. People.
Thank you to the blind.
Hey,
community.
Look at this, and some people can only hear.
No, that's right.
iPhone. So smartphone camera. Not just Apple, right, but Samsung. There's a lot of these
Pixel. Anything with with enough 18 plus megapixels, and with the zoom in camera lens that are on there, 1,000%
money.
It could be a cheap phone that has that same zoom in, 1,000% of work.
And in fact, it's so much easier to look at a picture of your trichomes than it is to try to see it through the jeweler's loop as you're trying to focus and you're swaying all over the place. So yeah, save a couple bucks. Use your phone.
On your nug as you're
is
trying
what
to
it
do
is.
it.
Sacrifice one nugget. Yeah,
that's a great one.
That's a great one. I like that one a lot.
That was the last one I had.
I almost want to cut it at that and save if we have a couple more for the next part too.
Oh, nailed it. But so then I'm curious from you guys.
I had 10 more, and we're gonna save it for the next one. I want you guys to drop below in the chat, see if you could read my mind though.
Yeah, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think you can do? What items can you use to save money in your garden so that you can avoid falling for what's hot and not utilizing what you don't necessarily need? Use what you've got. You've got. Save some money, man, and save that money in one area and use it towards somewhere else.
But I will say the things that you pay for, 9 times out of 10, these things in particular will probably perform better overall. But don't put yourself in debt or into financial stress trying to get any of them.
That's how I feel with my patrons. With your support and the money that you put in.
Oh, you guys, you didn't need to, but
stronger,
you did, and
we're better, we're far more accurate when you when you pay for these tools.
And so are you. And we appreciate you for that. It's patreon.com/fromthestash. Thank you guys for helping support this. Make sure you check out Stash merch, brother. The shirt may or may not be available. I don't know. It's been popping. It's been gone. I can't understand it.
That one's no longer available, but you can get some later renditions of it.
It's not available either.
Sold out pretty
quick. Hat. Never seen anyone else have it.
Gone.
Gone. With that being said, my name is Rob. That's Wink on the ones and twos. This is Mr. Grow It. That's Pigeon 420. And we are from the stash.
From the stash.
We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.